clearinghouse to make you eligible to play in college. Well, I made good grades. I busted my tail all the way through high school. I got up to 205 pounds. I was first team All-State, getting recruited by Division I schools. Everything's going great. Football is my God. I'm ineligible because I didn't take enough lab science or math above Algebra 1. So I'm graduating with a 2.9 GPA, never missed any school, thought I was doing what I was supposed to do, and I found out I'm ineligible to play college football. Well, guess who I blame? I blame the God that Heath Cooper and my mom and my dad were trying to point me in that direction. I blamed him. Baylor University, where the Heisman Trophy winner was from, offered me my scholarship. I committed to them after I passed the ACT, and they were to fly out the next day to sign me. And then that's when I got called in the counselor's office and realized, you're not eligible. So I decided to go to Troy State University and sit out the first year and get myself eligible. And football was still in the plan. Jesus was not in me. I was not living for him. I wasn't looking for him. I was looking for going to Troy, knowing that all the girls at Troy love football players, whether you're ineligible or not. And that's where my focus started going, was having fun and having a good time. 3 weeks when I'm getting down there, running routes, they move me to fullback, I catch a pass, land on my elbow, everything in my shoulder tears completely up. Football's taken from me again. So instead of going to class and getting my education and making my mom and my dad proud of me, I wouldn't get out of bed. This is when I first started battling alcohol. I was 18 years old, laying on my back, sometimes throw up in my bed when I should have been in math class with empty bottles of Thunderbird, cheap wine, anything I could get, laying next to my bed. So football, which took over violence as my addiction, football was gone, so my addiction went to chemical addiction, which is alcohol. Took over. It completely took over my life. I couldn't get out of bed. I come home after my third quarter at Troy, and my grade point average was a .06. I finished one course. The whole time I was there a year and a half. They finally kicked me out. So everything that I've ever put all of my hope and all of my worship into was taken away from me. And Royce blamed God every time. I always thought God had a hand in it. And I would find out later that he did, but in a great way. So I come back home, I get me a little job working in an apartment complex, I get me a girlfriend and a nice car. And I'm thinking, I didn't like drinking that much. I didn't like the hangovers. I didn't like throwing up. I didn't like any of that stuff. So I went back to my first addiction, which was violence. I would go to any party and any bar and find somebody to try to pick a fight with. So I started fighting. I had a gun pulled on me at a party at the model airfield in Tuscaloosa. And I guess the guy thought I would run, but I grabbed the barrel of the gun and I leaned into it and told him to shoot. How stupid. Well, he was a coward and ran off. But I'm thinking, oh yeah, I just put a barrel of somebody else's gun to my head and begged him to shoot me. Thank God he didn't. So I start partying, I start dating different girls and drinking and fighting and doing anything I can to get noticed again. And find out that my shoulder was getting better. The first surgery fixed it. It was feeling good. And I figured, man, I'm going to go see if I can play football again. So I went to East Central Community College in Decatur, Mississippi to a one-day tryout. It was a full pad tryout. And I left there with a scholarship offer.
Nice.
Well, I came home that weekend and went out and partied and forgot that I was supposed to report that Sunday to be there. Missed that opportunity. Football taken from me again. So I didn't really care. I was dating Logan's mom at the time, and she got pregnant with Logan. So I went and started working at the hospital as a security guard. This was my second run-in with a gun. I'm fixing to be a dad, and Erica's about 8.5 months pregnant. And there's a gang fight somewhere in town, and I'm patrolling the parking lot out in front of the hospital. And some of the gang members came to finish the guy off that just got wheeled in an ambulance. And they had guns drawn. Well, I refused to get out of their way. I was doing my job, but at the same time, I didn't call for help. I thought I was big and bad enough to handle the situation myself. Luckily, they didn't kill me. So Logan was born. I get married. I'm just 20 years old. She's barely 18. So naturally, when things happen that early, if you're not focused on Jesus, somebody that loves you, and that comfort, nothing's going to go right. So I'm constantly drinking all the time because I had a job. It was a decent job, but the bills weren't getting paid. Erica was staying home with Logan at the time. So this was my second battle with alcohol. It was a bad one. So the drinking became a problem in my marriage. And then it got to a couple of years down the road where the only time her and I spent together was when we were out partying together. And I got away. I wasn't fighting anymore because I'm a married man. I've got a son. I calmed down a little bit. But the drinking was still there and the addiction was still there. So anyway, my marriage broke down because of money. I was getting ready to put Logan on the bus one day, and there was a sheriff knocking on the door because we hadn't paid a bill. But that's the day that she left and took Logan. I was coaching football with Brian at the time, so I had football back, and but it wasn't enough. My son wasn't there every day. I didn't get to see him regularly like I was to begin with. So my whole world was falling apart. So my drinking became worse. I had a guy that was coaching with me at Bryant, moved into the house with me to help pay the bills or whatever, and we would be up every night drinking, every night of the week. The only time I did not drink was when Logan was in the house. But it didn't stop my roommate at all. But this is where the fight started again. I started getting into paid street fighting. We would go meet at Burger King, people would put their money down, find out who you're fighting, and we'd go do it. And it was some brutal stuff. The guy that lost got carried off. It became an addiction again. Fighting became my addiction. Then money being made from that fighting became my addiction. I would just turn that money back over and just drink it all away. So I was trying to go back to school at the time. I failed out at Alabama. I didn't hardly go into any classes. I hated going to Alabama. There's too many people there. I was getting frustrated, and I was scared that I was going to start fighting at school because I was so frustrated. I hated that campus. So I failed out of school again. So I'm with